Three violent incidents happened in the last 2 days over Halloween. In this video, I'm going to show you how to keep your kids safe and what you can do to help. Stay tuned until the end because I'll reveal the things that I keep available to help keep my kids safe. Welcome to Firehouse Heavyweights TV and FirehouseHeavyweights.com, where I show parents how to keep themselves and their family safe from car wrecks, from fires, and from medical emergencies. There have been some pretty unfortunate things that, if you guys watch the news, that have been happening in the last few days, especially with Halloween. And I mean, over the years, Halloween has always been a little chaotic. Same thing with 4th of July and stuff. Although it's a time where a lot of kids have fun, go dress up, and get candy, it's also a time where some people take advantage and do some of the most heinous things that we see in society today. There have been 3 shootings that happened in Chicago, down in Florida, and in Pennsylvania. And a lot of these were during gatherings or Halloween parties. So let's check out a few of these.
Breaking this morning, a mass shooting on the southwest side leaves multiple people in the hospital. Chicago police are still investigating at this hour.
13th Street in Lawndale, you can see at one point a person being taken away on a stretcher. Calls that came over police radio indicate officers may have taken into custody at least one suspect and recovered one weapon.
And then they told him he couldn't come in, so I guess he must have came back and went to his car or whatever and started shooting.
I want to tell you that we're here today with an arrest of a suspect, and thanks to the community.
Yesterday, I took my kids out to go trick-or-treating. And the big thing that I like to do, I like to keep tabs of where my kids go, who they hang out with, and things like that. So yesterday, my 2 oldest, the 3 oldest, since they have iPhones, I let them go off with their group of friends, but I gave them a boundary, which is all by their school. I'm tracking them on their iPhones because I have all their locations, and I'm seeing them go off and doing trick-or-treating. When it's time to go, I go get the first one, pull up on him, he's there with his friends, so it's time to go. I go to the second oldest, and he's the one, you know how once your kids start getting into their teenagers, once they become teenagers and stuff, they're just too cool for everything. They're too cool to hang out with you. They're too cool to be around you in general. So I'm tracking his location, but I'm not seeing him outside, and he's in this house. Mind you, I don't know whose house this is. I FaceTime him. I see him. He's indoors. I tell him, get your butt outside. He comes outside and we have a chat because we never agreed to him going inside anybody's house. He tried to give me the whole excuse of my hands were cold, this is my friend, blah, 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 blah. The reason I tell you the story is because it goes into my next point about learning about your kid's friends group. And that for me is something that's extremely important. I make sure to show up to just about any event that my kids are going to go to, especially if I don't know the people, if I don't know the parents, I don't know the kids that they're hanging out with. I have a tendency of waiting in a parking lot across the street if this is like the first time my kids are going to go hang out with certain people. It's at the point now, though, where a lot of their friends, they've been friends since kindergarten, and now they're, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, and they still hang out with the same group of people, and over the years, we've gone to know their parents, and they've gone to know us, and things like that. Now, a big thing I try to teach my boys especially is dangers of mob mentality and peer pressure within a group of people and a group of friends. So in these situations, even though the media and stuff may label this as just gun violence, if you listen more closely and read what's actually going on, especially like the story in Chicago where the male, he got kicked out or wasn't even allowed to come into the party. He went to his car, grabbed a strap, and shot the place up. The other one that happened in Florida, 2 people were fighting, someone got a gun, they shot the place up. This, unfortunately, this is very prominent in the black community. And I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it happens in other communities and stuff as well. I know for sure. This happens a lot in the black community. I try to advise my kids, look, if you are at school or if you're anywhere, and say there's someone that you may not necessarily see eye to eye with, and maybe you don't know anybody. Maybe you don't know anybody, but you know your 1, 2, 3 group of friends. You guys go to a party, you guys go hang out. Somebody gets in an argument, one person leaves, and they're threatening that they're going to come back. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to bail because you don't know what that person is capable of or what their plans are. I just don't play that. And I make sure that they know that. Some might say this is a little overprotective, but I don't think it is. Unfortunately, it's something we as parents shouldn't have to worry about, but it's a reality nowadays with a lot of the school shootings and a lot of the active shooters and things like that. I will tell you right now that I am not a believer that guns should be taken away from people. I do believe in it. And I also further believe that if a gunman knows that someone else has a high likelihood of also being armed, it lowers the possibility of there being conflict. It kind of reminds me of the Cold War. No one launched anything because both sides had nukes, right? So whenever I drop off my kids or something like that and they're at a party or something like that and I let them go off, if I don't know them, I'll sit across the street. I'll sit in my car, sit on my phone, watch videos, TikToks, whatever. I won't go in there. I'm not going to go, invade necessarily in my kids' social life. But I am prepared. I am prepared in my car in case something unfortunate like these active shooting things go down. I'm just not playing with my kids, man. So for example, right here, I have a tactical vest. I have a firearm that I keep in my vehicle with me, on me directly, and I also have a trauma kit that I have for my kids. I could use it on me, but this is primarily if something goes down like this, I like to think of the worst possible scenario. So I want to show you guys some of the things I like to carry with are things like trauma shears. A trauma shear, they're like specialized scissors where the tips aren't sharp. They're like rounded, so they don't actually puncture skin, but they're really good at cutting clothing and sometimes even some jewelry and stuff off like that in order for you to expose a wound that you need to treat. An Israeli bandage, and I'm going to put some images of each of these items. And this bandage, besides it being a bandage, it keeps pressure on wherever you're applying that on. So if someone's bleeding from their arm and you put some gauze to cover it and you bandage it up with an Israeli bandage, that Israeli bandage is maintaining pressure on that arm. The next thing I like to add is quick clot. Each of these I like to keep like 2 of these each, and I keep it in my bag. Quick clot, this is like a specialized kind of gauze where it has like some chemicals. I think it has some vitamin K in it, but pretty much what it does, it encourages blood clotting. So I put out a video, it was a little controversial, yesterday about the whole scenario that happened in the hockey world where that one hockey player, Adam Johnson, got his neck cut and he unfortunately bled out. What quick clot does, if you have a gunshot wound where a tourniquet is not able to cut off circulation because a tourniquet is only used for limbs, arms and legs. If you can't get the arm, and I mean lower legs from the thigh down, you can't get into your hips with it because a tourniquet's not going to be able to get to that area. So what quick clot will do is you have to pack a wound. Like if I had a gunshot wound, say to my chest right here, you can't really cut off circulation to my entire chest. You would take that gauze and you just keep stuffing it in there just as much as you possibly can. You just keep stuffing it. And what the quick clot does, it encourages the blood in that area to clot up and stop the bleeding. That is the goal of it. So I like to keep some of that. I already mentioned I like to keep gauze as well, in case there might be a little quick laceration or a cut. That's just a medical term for a cut. A tourniquet, like I mentioned before, in case a limb or something was cut, shot or something like that, you can cut off circulation if there's a lot of blood that's coming from it. So there's a few of these that I like on Amazon that I've seen, even though I like mine to be a little more custom and I have more items in here because I have actual experience as a paramedic using them, such as needle decompression needles and nasal airways and things like that in case they're not able to properly breathe and stuff like that. These are like, for me, like the big major ones that I keep and hope I never have to use on my kids, but I have it, they're available. So check out the QR code over here where you could check out some of these pre-packed trauma kits, and I would highly suggest that you guys at least have one. Just have one. And you could use that if you're biking, if you're hiking, if you're going on vacation, wherever it is. In case you ever need to actually use it, you have it there. But hopefully you never have to. So I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys got some value out of this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.